Oh, Queen Justice, where are you? Did they beat you up or no? Lock you on the ground, take the crown away from you?
Oh, Lady Liberty, red, white, and blue. Did they take your dignity with their bigotry? Teach you that you're born to lose.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe, roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough.
We've had enough
of all the rules you break.
We've had enough
of all the money you make.
We've had enough.
No more life gets taken.
We've had enough.
This is a proclamation.
It's been 400 years and we're 400 late. Together we stand from state to state. Going back in time won't make America great. We need justice now, people won't wait.
Action, no more distraction. Every step we take, we gain traction. If it can happen to one, it can happen to all. United we stand, divided we fall. Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe, roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough.
We've had enough
of all the rules you were breaking.
We've had enough
of all the money you were making.
We've had enough.
No more life gets taken.
We've had enough.
This is a proclamation.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe, just roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough.
We've had enough of all the rules you're breaking. We've had enough. All the money you're making.
We've had enough.
No more life gets taken.
We've had enough.
This is the proclamation.
We've had enough. Trayvon Martin and Tommy Rice. We've had enough. Michael Brown and Eric gonna pay the price. We've had enough. Philando, Breonna, George Floyd. What? We've had enough. So many gone. How can we fill the void?
How can we feel?
We've had enough. John Crawford, I know you've heard. We've had enough. Sandra Bland, come on and take a stand. We've had enough. Sean Bell, what the hell? We've had enough. Freddie Gray, did you hear what I said? We've had enough.
This is a proclamation.
McFarlane, and it's Monday, and it's time to talk about leadership in our community. Glad to be here. Have you along, Diana? Good to see you.
Hi.
Great weekend, beautiful weather.
Beautiful weather, beautiful weather. Couldn't ask for anything better. And that song, I'm telling you, Al, was very fitting after watching the trial this morning. Great song.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, who else is in the studio? Kelvin, bring everybody on. So, hey, Andrew, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to
So I
see
see Brother Elijah. I see Alicia Gibson. I see Representative Moran. I see my friend Michael Rainville and my friend Victor. Good to see you all. And others may join us as well. The trial this morning was interesting. I didn't see it all. I was working on stuff, but I caught a bit of Chief Arredondo. And I wanted to start off today asking everybody to give their impressions, to give their thoughts about the trial as we're witnessing it and watching it, and about our community as we're going through this period of reckoning, I think, and moving towards reconciliation. But certainly the highlight, the pinnacle of that is the trial that is unfolding right now in downtown Minneapolis, the trial of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd this time last year, in May of last year. I want to say that what we do on Mondays is bring together elected and those seeking election to talk in roundtable about issues of the day, but also about their candidacy, why they want to serve you, either as a newly elected or to continue their service in the positions that they're in. So that's what the agenda is today. Over the course of this hour, each of the people here will talk about what they represent, stand for, their vision, their intent in seeking your support as they want to serve in public office. We have an incumbent on board as well who's serving in the state legislature, and will actually begin the program differently, talking about her work, her vision, and priorities in state government as she sees, and that she wants to share with us as well. But if you're listening to this on YouTube or on Facebook, YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We want to grow subscriptions. We have a few, just a few right now, but we think we're doing the right thing. We think this is a good thing to do. I certainly enjoy it. Tell you what's in it for me. As a newsman, it's a chance to meet with newsmakers and to gather content for my newspaper, Insight News, and my news platforms, insightnews.com, and my Facebook page and YouTube page. So I'm doing what I do professionally by having these meetings that I'd be having anyway with one-on-ones with these wonderful candidates and public servants. But the beauty is to be able to have the conversation between the two of us be shared with the thousands and thousands of you via social media, via radio and television. These programs are being carried in St. Paul every day, in the morning and the evening at SPNN television. So we're having a large reach, and we enjoy that. But we want you, the viewer, the YouTube user, to actually subscribe to this channel, help us grow it, tell your friends and neighbors to subscribe, and let's build this platform. If you're listening or watching on Facebook, same thing. Like the channel, like the program, and share it with your friends, create watch parties. We want to grow this opportunity for engagement around the civic good, around how we enact our ability, our responsibility, our duty to be active citizens in our community. With that, I want to first of all welcome Representative Rena Moran. Representative Moran, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. It's been a while, but always following you and keeping up with you. So tell me what's going on with you.
Well, good morning. Good morning, Al. Good morning, everyone. Or should I say good afternoon? It is afternoon, right? Today has just been really fast. I am good. We had a very small break, Easter break at the legislature. We're back in session. We're working on our budget, on the state budget right now, just, trying to respond to COVID-19 and all that COVID-19 has done and been over the last year. And how we're going to recover from that. So we are in the midst of that in the legislature. We're working really hard right now to make sure that equity is a big part of our decision-making process at the legislature. We're also in responding to COVID, looking at a bill that really focuses on the vaccination and making sure that those who have been impacted by COVID, who have lost loved ones by COVID, that they are also getting those vaccinations, along with our seniors and the most vulnerable, that our community of color has really been impacted, hugely by COVID-19. So we're working to make sure that we're going into those communities and vaccinating folks, but also that we are connecting with trusted people in those communities to help those communities who do not trust government, who do not always trust the medical profession for many reasons that are legit, that they feel comfortable and trusted of that vaccination, so that they are not only securing themselves, but also family members and all those that they come in contact with. And so representing St. Paul in District 65, I just need to say that. But also, it's a really, really busy time this morning. We're going to unfold and make public our priorities, our budget resolutions in each one of those committees. So we're going to be in about 10 minutes. We're going to have a press conference to announce those resolutions, that budget resolutions are going to be unfolding. But I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation to be here. You are one of my favorite people. You do an awesome job at doing what you do.
Thank you. Let me ask you to weigh in on the question that I mentioned at the top of the hour, the trial. Any impressions, feedback, feelings? I'm glad, number one, that the prosecution is being handled by the state of Minnesota. And I think that Attorney General Ellison's team is presenting a formidable argument and case on behalf of the people of Minnesota. What is your impression? What thoughts do you have?
I agree. Attorney General Ellison and his team is doing a wonderful job. I mean, day one, the first 3 days was just powerful, and it continues to be powerful. It's hard. I don't watch it every day because I have to guard my spirit and my soul and continue to do the work for the people. And I need to do it through a really clear, clean, fresh mind, right? Because the stuff is heavy. And it continues to re-traumatize our communities and a lot of folks who've had those encounters. And so, they have laid out a very strong case, I think, from testifiers. The work that we did legislatively in 2020 around the Police Accountability Act was the beginning of creating some accountability for our law enforcement. The one thing I share with people is that our police officers have an incredible honor and privilege to serve and protect, right? And when that privilege is being abused and misused, they have to be accountable for that, because police officers who have that privilege makes policing not trusted. That makes the institution of policing distrustful. And and what you have is those encounters that we have between the Black community with police officers and communities of color. And so we all got to be accountable. I got to be accountable. Each one of your guests today has to be accountable to something and to someone. And in that case, we are seeing a police officer on trial on his ability to be accountable for the actions and the death of George Floyd.
Listen, I know you've got to leave for your press conference. I want to thank you. I want to invite you back as often as you're available. We're doing this leadership series every Monday with the support of our partners in community, Diana Hawkins and Andrew Bornhoff at the Hawthorne Neighborhood Council and other neighborhood councils in Twin Cities. But we are pleased that you were able to drop in today. Please come back as often as you can.
I will. And thank you again for the invitation. And continue to do the great reporting that you're doing, keeping it on the ground level for those who often sometimes are not connected to what's happening. You are creating that space to make news visible.
Thank you, Representative Rena Moran. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Let us continue. And I want to ask the candidates. I'm going to start this week with Elijah Norris. Elijah, good afternoon. How are you? How you doing? And I'm particularly interested in starting with you because in my mind, you represent the young people, the young voice, right? Young activism, and there's a certain both insistence and urgency that your cohort, your age group is bringing to our, and rightfully, to the public space, public discourse. So question, Elijah, just top of mind, what are your impressions of the trial right now? And I don't know if you watched the testimony of Chief Medaria Arredondo this morning, but if you have comments about that, please share your impressions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McFarlane. I haven't been actually tuning into what's been happening with the trial lately. The only television I have been watching is Bloomberg television, just to stay on top of the economy and how things are moving with the markets. My thoughts are we have a lot of more work to do. Even after this trial is over with, we still are dealing with the pandemic. We're still going to be dealing with institutional racism. We're still dealing with poverty. We're still dealing with crime. Our young people are facing a lot of adversity every day. And after this trial, that's not going to end. It's not ending during the trial. It's not going to end after the trial. So I've been focusing my attention on how to provide more resources, more opportunity to young people throughout Ramsey and Hennepin County, not just Minneapolis and in St. Paul, but countywide. Specifically right now, we're working on developing a app. It's called MarketX. We just put $20,000 into this application. We're trying to get by more folks in the community. That's 20 grand from my company put into this application that's going to connect young people with jobs and opportunities in the community. So it's going to be locally based, locally owned, and we want young people to have access to the market just like everyone else does. So if you're an artist, you can put your music platforms on there. You can get money from streaming it. If you are developing T-shirts and apparel for community, you can sell your product right there on our website, and we'll do all the back end work for you. You just focus on being the artist, being the entrepreneur. And if you just want to cut some grass and you're looking to connect with someone in the community that wants a young person to come cut their grass, well, guess what? You can post that job up there. The young person will have access to it. So we're working on building that out. Get the prototype completed in the next couple of weeks or so here, and we're looking to launch it before the fall semester starts so our young people can have access to more jobs. We've been networking right now with folks in the manufacturing industry. I had a great meeting last week with Steve Kalina from MPMA. For you all that don't understand what that means, that acronym, it's Minnesota Precision Manufacturing Association. And we're trying to get young people in the manufacturing industry. I speak a lot about creating pathways to livable wage jobs. We're actively doing that. Steve Kalina and I, we're going to be partnering coming up here soon to do a job fair to get young people access to going into the manufacturing industry. Mr. McFarlane, there's tens of thousands of jobs right now in the manufacturing industry. Everyone's being pushed to four-year schools. No one's being pushed to vocational jobs and vocational training. And there's a lapse right now in that employment. We need to bridge those gaps between young people and those employers who need skilled workers to create livable jobs in our communities. I want to start that right here in Minneapolis. So that's what I've been working on, sir.
So it sounds like two things, Elijah. Number one, you are a candidate for Fifth Ward City Council. And it sounds like that you also, on a parallel track, but they're connected, obviously, are doing the work you hope and suggest needs to be done. And you're doing that by creating businesses and alliances that demonstrate or model the change that you say needs to occur. Am I saying that right? Does that sound right to you?
Absolutely, sir. It's been often said that leaders lead by example, and I'm doing just that in my current business endeavors right now, which right now my main priority is getting young people access to livable wage jobs and opportunities. I'm living that day to day.
So let me sort that out then. So there's two things here. One, you are a candidate. You're here because you are a candidate. So we'll speak to that as we go. But you're saying, and I'm agreeing with you and making sure I understand it, that you're also an entrepreneur. And let me step back a minute and have you talk about your entrepreneurial strategy plan and what it means and what it demonstrates. So share that if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. My plan is just to establish this.
What is your company? Do you have a company already, or what is the company?
Yes, I do. My company is called Project Restore Minnesota. You can access information about my company at www.projectrestoremn.com. And what we do is connect ADOS young folks, 18 to 24, with resources. And resources can mean a lot of different things because everyone's not at the same level, right? Someone might just need help with paying off college tuition. Well, we help people with that. Some people might want to just learn how to go into a trade. Well, we help push people towards those industries. And this is why this partnership between MPMA and these conversations I'm having with them are so important, because a lot of jobs exist right now. I'm sick of people saying we're going to create jobs. As a city council member, how are you going to create a job? No, what you should be saying is I'm going to connect jobs, because the jobs already exist. We're going to connect the jobs that are already out there with the people who need them. So that's what the rhetoric should be. That's what city council people should be saying, or elected officials should be saying. If you're not an entrepreneur or a business owner, you're not going to create a job. You're not. You're going to connect jobs. So that's what I do. I'm a glorified middleman. I find people who need employment, people who need opportunities. I find people who have the opportunities and have the employment, and I just connect them.
Great. Let me go to the elder at the table besides me, and that's my brother, Rainville. Michael Rainville, running for Ward 3, but the Rainville brand, the Rainville name, is historic and expansive in North Minneapolis and Northeast Minneapolis. And so you got a family and personal history of being involved in business and economic development. So two things. One, sort of address the same questions. As a candidate, what do you see your priority for serving that ward in the city, but also the opening question. I'm looking for impressions on where we are with the Derek Chauvin trial. What's happened so far? What are you hearing from the people that you talk to as you door knock and have coffee with people or Zoom chats? What's the mood out there around this trial? And good, bad, or indifferent? I think you're on mute, Mike. Unmute.
Thank you, Al. And first of all, I have to thank you again for calling me your brother, because we are all sisters and brothers, and that means a lot to me. So thank you. And I also appreciate being called an elder, because I've earned it. I didn't get all these wrinkles from happiness. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. But I wanted to start out to talk about the trial. But first, Elijah, you taught me something new today, to be a connector for jobs. And jobs are an important part of my campaign. But you are absolutely right. The city should be connecting people to all these existing jobs, while at the same time, hopefully creating new ones. But let's talk about that trial, Al. Mm-hmm. And I think it shows why the very, very most important reason I'm running is to support Chief Arredondo and to not abolish the police department. My opponents want to abolish the police. We need police, and we need that leadership that Chief Arredondo and his handpicked staff, like Charlie Adams over on the north side. We need to listen to those people, not belittle them, not mock them, not degrade them as being the council is doing to them now, but to work with them in their leadership. This trial is amazing. I just like Representative Morrow, I have to take it in bits and pieces, because it's terrible. It's just terrible to relive all this. But it shows that there is justice in our system. It's slow. This is almost a year since this horrible thing happened, but it's finally happening now. And the accountability that is being brought out. To see Chief Arredondo and Lieutenant Zimmerman talk honestly and openly about what the correct training is and what went wrong with Chauvin, that is just refreshing to see the leadership that is being shown by the Minneapolis Police Department. The police department. And it's just nothing but wonderful, nothing but short of wonderful. Chief Arredondo needs to be supported. This trial is proving it. It's also, we have yet to hear the verdict and the sentencing, but it's very clear that you had a rogue police officer that truly was not representative of the goodness of the police. People who become policemen want to serve. They care a lot about our society. There's bad police, there's bad doctors, there's bad lawyers, there's bad people in the world. Let's get rid of the bad cops.
So, a lot of people in my circle, Michael, have a double-mindedness. There's a desire and a hope that justice will prevail, that this time, everything is going to unfold the way it should. And the statement from my friendship circle is that it should result in a conviction of Derek Chauvin. But everybody doesn't see things the way we see things, and I respect other people's points of view as well. So the question that brings this double-mindedness to me and my friends is that while we hope that justice will prevail and a good decision based on the facts, based on what we saw with our own eyes, is rendered, there's this somewhere in the back of our minds, because of history, suspicion that at the end of the day, somebody's heartstring is going to be tugged by a commitment to white supremacy. That somebody there on that jury is going to say, somehow, I'm here to defend, the indefensible, and it just takes one to keep the thing from happening. Do you hear that at all? Am I alone in expressing that reservation? Does that happen in the white community as well?
So Al, you are not alone, and I cannot speak. I'm not a black man, so I cannot speak your life. But all the people that I've talked over here are just horrified at this, and they think this is the start of true accountability, of a new beginning for our city, and really all the society. We are on the world stage. We're on on the national stage, and we can set that example. We can be leaders. So I am very, very optimistic. And there was a time we doubted that, so many things in this country would not happen. It's time to be optimistic. It's Easter, it's warm weather. This trial is happening. There are so many good things, and we have great leaders in our community. The justice system is going to show its true colors. I feel very optimistic, as do the people that I'm talking to. And again, white people, I would never say that I could speak for the Black community, but in the people in the third ward, we hope and feel very strongly that this is the time for justice, and we can move forward into a new beginning.
Let me jump to Alicia Gibson. Alicia, how you doing, my friend? Always good to see you here. You bring a spark of what is that called? Of kind of a grand vision and philosophy about human decency. I believe that's how I would describe the contributions I've heard from you. Something rooted in a strong conviction about what it means to be a human being. So with that, does that fairly describe you?
Al, you're going to make me cry.
Okay. I'm just giving you my impression, and that's how you're coming across, and I appreciate you, so I acknowledge that in you. So with that, just off the top of your mind, just your meditation on the question of justice right now in the context of the trial. Where are we? What have we seen? What do we need to see? And then talk about, again, how that folds into your commitment to serve community as a candidate for the 10th Ward on the Minneapolis City Council.
Yeah, thank you. No, very seriously, Al, thank you so much for seeing me and for those words. I hope that is a definition of who I am, because I feel that, is who I would want to be. In that spirit, what has really struck home with me is the decency of so many people who were also on that scene. All the people who have testified, the witnesses who were there, who were not a riotous mob. You look back and see what they were experiencing, and I don't even know how I would have the presence of mind that they had. So the firefighter, the EMTs, the lieutenant who broke the code of silence, the young woman who was recording the film, the man who was a bodyguard and is an expert in martial arts, who talked about how he really, tried to control his mind and his energy to connect to the police officer, to Derek Chauvin, to try to get him to, understand what he was doing. It's very sad, and there's a kind of horror. It's like a horror show, right? To hear what they tried to do and what they were witnessing. But on the other side of that coin is that human decency, is that that hopefulness that this is also who we are as Minnesotans, as Minneapolitans. Mm-hmm. And I would hope that no matter what happens, that is what we take with us. That is the definition of us that we carry with us. Because as you said, there could be, one person can go in a different direction, and that's life, and that's a lot that we can't control. We can be very proud of our prosecutors and the people who are putting this case together, that they're doing an excellent job. We can be proud of the witnesses who are reliving the unimaginable on behalf of all of us, and on behalf of George Floyd and his family. But at the end of the day, there is things that are out of our control. So what I try to do as a person is focus on what I can control and who is showing up and what they're doing. And so that's what I want us to urge us to do in this moment, even if things go a direction that is very disappointing to us, that we define who we are. We don't have to be defined by something else and by something out of our control. And I had to say, I have not yet watched the chief's testimony, but I'm very proud, that we have a chief who is going to get on the stand, and we know, I think we can know what he's going to say. And, when he had what
he said was amazing. amazing, powerful, clear, and unambiguous. He did not mince his words. He didn't hold his tongue. He called it murder.
Yeah.
And he said that the training that the officer, what the officer did was not what he was trained to do, that he was trained differently, and that what he did in executing that detention was murder. And he said the other officers were culpable because they were trained differently as well. Clear as day. So.
Yeah, and I think that all of us need to really think about, we have this man who is in a position to be a healer. He's showing himself to be a truth speaker, as somebody who really speaks the truth. And, you know, as a council member, there isn't a single person that I will ever give a pass to, you know, but he has earned our respect. And when I look at some of the solutions that are being offered, you know, as just a problem solver, I think, okay, well, what is the solution that's being offered? And so what does it look like they're trying to solve? What it looks like they're trying to solve is a police chief who doesn't listen and needs more bosses, needs help doing his job. And that is not the case. That is not what we have. And so we really need to rethink the solutions that we are offering as a city. And the other component I wanted to say, I really appreciate Elijah kind of bringing us back to the bigger picture of what is needed inside of BIPOC communities, which is, you know, economic justice as well and revitalization. The reason why I didn't watch it this morning is that I went down to Hennepin Avenue to talk to some of our Black-owned businesses about the reconstruction that is going to be taking place on the street. And, you know, we are talking a lot about equity. We're talking a lot about supporting, you know, Black lives, Black livelihoods. Nobody went and talked to those business owners about what was going to happen on the street right in front of them. And they're telling me what's going to happen is going to put them out of business. They're going to leave our ward. They're going to leave our city. One guy's already looking at a space in Hopkins.
What part of Hennepin Avenue?
This is the, you know, right next to Franklin, between Franklin and 24th is going to go on construction. And this is an example of hypocrisy. And I don't want to, I don't think there's any negative intentions, but you don't talk about equity. You don't talk about Black Lives Matter, and then refuse to go and do the work of talking to the Black-owned businesses. They're going to be directly impacted by a city project. And so that is the kind of thing that we're going to end if I become a city council member for this ward.
Let me bring Chicken Zia Aida, right? Am I saying it the right way? You have to unmute. Tekken. Okay, thank you, Tekken.
Yep. There we go. Sorry about that. I've got this is a robust discussion that I have so many things to contribute, but I've actually got to run and take this elder to his doctor's appointment. I just want to say a couple things. Actually, having been in business in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for 22 years, starting in 1996, I can say one thing is that being Black and being at the head of a table is a very difficult position to be in. I witnessed that having been in business for 22 years downtown in a creative small business. And we also witnessed that in the presidency of Barack Obama. So I am not surprised that the chief, with reason or not, is being somewhat derided by different forces who want different things right now for our community. As others have said, and I say in my own voice, you know, I will do everything that I can to work with this particular chief. And like Alicia said, without, you know, giving a free pass or anything like that. In addition to, you know, I am more than pleased to hear all these candidates speak about the constituency that I actually am and was for those 22 years. support for small business, specifically Black and Brown and women-owned, support for the creative industry, support for our native industry, specifically, like I had spoken about last week, or held up the flyer, the poster for the East Phillips Indoor Garden, which is a great moment for me to pass it off to my beloved friend, Margarita Ortega, who represents that neighborhood as I say goodbye. And I want to be back next Monday and have some of the floor to talk about these things. Very exciting. So I'll talk to you all later, okay?
Thank you, Tech, and that was a good move. You reading my mind. That's exactly what I'm going to do is welcome Rita Ortega, who's candidate for Council Ward 9. And after that, we'll go to Victor. Rita, good afternoon. Good to see you here. Talk about yourself and your candidacy, what you want to bring to Ward 9. How do you compare and contrast your work and vision to the incumbent there? What choice are you offering the residents of your ward? And the general question I've asked everybody today to speak from is any impression or assessment about what's going on downtown in the trial of Derek Chauvin. I'll say one more thing, and that is, and I'll come back to the other candidates as well, that I want us always to make some reference to what we can do, what we should be doing as community, as leaders, to help encourage people to take the COVID-19 vaccination if we feel that. And how can we have the impact that we need to keep our families and ourselves and our neighbors safe? So Rita, good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to speak here today. I am a Little Earth resident. Little Earth is a public housing complex, majority Native American that live here. I have been working in the community for over 15 years, been organizing, doing a lot of different work here around homelessness, crime and safety work, opioids, and also policy. I was a policy aide at City Council a few years ago. So I do have experience working with this particular system. And when you talk about like what my thoughts are on the trial, I am mixed with emotions, I want to say, because this is a system that continues to not give us justice. And this is a system that continues to allow murderers to go free when it comes to Black, brown people trying to get justice. This has happened to us more and more. And the more I have to always hold back the pain it causes. There's a lot of missing, murdered Indigenous women. That issue was not even brought up for many years, decades, hundreds of years. It's been going on since colonization. And for us to be talking about it now, but still have thousands of our women missing and continuing to go missing. And there's no justice there. So when we talk about working with a system that has continued to supposedly be reformed over and over since 1930, we've been reforming the police department. And I don't know if you guys looked this up, but the city of Minneapolis has been reforming the Minneapolis Police Department since 1930. How long is it going to take before, and how many lives do we have to lose before we start believing that we can create something new? That we can actually make something that will work for our communities, that will protect our women, our children, and possibly give us justice. I don't know, being an Indigenous person, I can't speak for the Black community, but I can honestly say I can feel the pain. I feel the pain of everyone that doesn't get justice, because I am one that didn't get justice. So I know what it feels like. But I want to thank you guys for being here. And I do want to also say that I am an abolitionist. And I do think our community and our city can create a new public safety system that will work to protect us, that will actually be accountable to the community and not accountable to one person. It should be to the community in which it serves, right? So I am a Little Earth resident. Obviously, I would be the first Indigenous woman elected, along with being the first elected to right out of public housing. That's something completely that hasn't happened. I have a very different perspective, but it's because of the lived experiences and these issues that we're living with and dealing with full center are issues that are directly impacted my life, that I have experienced in my life.
Rita, thank you for that opening statement. That's powerful and wonderful. Thank you for being here. I want to applaud you for stepping up, and putting your hat and your name into candidacy for and on behalf of the community and the residents where you live and work. I want to go to Victor, but I want to come back to you because I want you to talk more about what it means to be an abolitionist. And I know that in general, the people that I've been talking to are counter. They are on a polar opposite, at least in statements, right? And so part of the need and the challenge is to explain and to see where language gets in the way, because sometimes it opens the way, sometimes it blocks the way.
Yeah.
And so I want to have a chance for you to come back and walk people past their fear and past their assumptions and towards what you appear to be offering in a spirit of appreciation for humanity, right?
Yes.
That you think is sometimes not properly engaged or recognized or built around. So, brother, Fifth Ward,
Victor Martinez.
Martinez, right? Yeah, thank you, Brother Victor. Jump in, man. Yeah, as you and you have the fortune of having heard your colleagues and all of us talk and assembling these feelings as you present. So it's your floor.
I just want to say thank you for that opportunity here. Elijah, I mean, he hit it right on the head. And Alicia, there's so much work to be done in the community. I haven't seen the trial today or any bits and pieces, but after what you shared, I'm definitely going to go back and take a look at it. I just think it could be very hurtful to a lot of people. I try to watch some pieces and it's grueling. It's difficult to watch sometimes. So, but in terms of the work in the community, I mean, I agree. You know who one of the biggest, I think the top employer in the city of Minneapolis is? Guess who that is? The city of Minneapolis. And get some of the best jobs that they have available: firefighters, police officers, EMS. Do you know that if you go to school to be an EMS, they'll pay you to go to school to be an EMS that can lead you into, I met with a firefighters talking about how there's city programs that could go into the schools and get these kids their jobs. Like Elijah's right. I mean, the jobs are there and we're just not connecting the dots, right? And so that's something that I definitely want to do. There's job in the solid waste, right? There's jobs galore in the city of Minneapolis, jobs that don't take a college education to do and provide a very strong livable wage, union jobs that provide retirement. And so that's something that the firefighters told me, hey, we could do that for North Minneapolis. If you want to champion that and help fund some of those programs, hey, you count on us. And so I like what Alicia said as well. What can I do? What can I control? And you said, the things that you could control right now and the things that you could empower right now, it's amazing because, you know, so many people start to feel like they can't do, right? There's a lot of this feeling like, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't. No, there's a lot you could do. And we need to be able to speak that empowerment to our community, to our young people. A lot of young people feel like, specifically the young people that are stuck in this kind of crime and drugs in this world, they feel like that's the only option they have. And so someone needs to come along and say, here's an option, here's steps, here's going, this direction to go to. That's what Elijah, the business app that he has going, I mean, I love it. I'm a big fan. And, you know, I do understand, you know, Arita, you know, I understand what she's talking about. And yes, I think that clarification, and I think that words, you know, the way we say things and how we say it and what we mean by that, it really does matter. And so I'm actually excited to hear about what she says because, you know, I don't believe in abolitionists. You know, I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a broken home. I moved every year of my life until I bought my house for the first time as an adult, 25-year-old. You know, I know what it is to have poverty. I know what it is to be homeless. I know what it is to sleep in a car. I know what it is to be in foster care. I know what. And so, and so I just hear from her, and I want to definitely make sure she has enough time to share that.
Before I go back, I wanted to bring Diana and Andrew in. Guys, thank you all for your continued support and helping organize and facilitate this conversation, and also to bring in other leaders such as yourselves who are part of the neighborhood organizations in Twin Cities who are often with us here. And kudos to you in particular for the ongoing powerful Hawthorne huddle. We had a wonderful and powerful meeting last couple of days ago, and that was excellent. People are showing up, people are interested, and so thank you, Diana and Andrew, for what you do as leaders in that work. Any questions you have or comments you guys want to make before I go back around?
I just want to give kudos to all of you guys because as you're talking, I'm also on YouTube and my phone is just dinging. This has been a powerful conversation today. So I employ you guys because we don't get conversations like this. This is rich, it's robust. People are listening to you guys. Because like I said, my phone is right here and I'll tell you, I am multitasking. So, you know, and kudos to everybody that's watching. Join us on YouTube. That's what we want you to do. So yeah. I'm gonna let Andrew say what he needs to say, but I don't have any questions. This conversation is very powerful today. So I applaud you all.
Thank you, Diana. Andrew.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with Diana. You know, I think I've been trying to ban myself from Twitter recently just because it feels like that's where people yell at each other when they think they're having conversations. And every Monday, you know, this is a group of people that get together with different opinions about the way the city should go. And they're such wonderful, productive conversations. They are the way public dialogue should be. If I agree with you or disagree with you, I'm sitting here, I'm just like, oh, but still, I don't know. Oh, and that's what happens when we are respectful of each other is it allows people to question their own thinking as opposed to putting up this defensive barrier. So I'm just so thankful for you. And, you know, for me, as with the trial, I just wanted to say, I have a friend who is a trial attorney, and, you know, this system is complex, and it's complex intentionally. And I text with him all the time saying, oh my goodness, you know, this prosecution team's incredible, and this and this and this and this. And we had the doctor from HCMC this morning who pronounced George Floyd dead. And he said he died of asphyxiation. He saw no signs of an overdose, and he said he died of asphyxiation. And so I'm texting my friend, the attorney, this, and he says, yep. But the way the system works is all Nelson has to do is give them one reason to doubt, one instance of doubt, and they can say, oh, he's not guilty. And so that's what worries me. It's not the people, it's not even the jury. It's the system is designed, as many others have said, the system is designed, ironically, against a just outcome. And so that's what really has me nervous, and has a lot of people in my circles nervous, is that the system is going to fail us once again. Even though everybody and their brother thinks Chauvin is guilty, and probably guilty of far more, the system isn't going to allow it. So that's my nerve factor.
Interesting. So I'm going to go back now to Rita. And, Rita, talk about, if you would, what you described as being an abolitionist. And I understand, and I tell you, my understanding is limited, so I'll just tell you what it is, that speaks specifically to the police department as we know it, but necessarily it must speak to the entire court system as well, because if you change roles of peacekeeping and pursuit and management and support of safety, right, and all the things that are tangential to that, you have to also build into it a system for conflict resolution, competing interests, right? How do you, if you have a dispute over who owns something, or whether something was stolen or given or found or stolen, I mean, it's like this guy named Christopher said he found North America. how would you litigate that? So that's levity. That's my attempt at being a little bit, but I'm serious about that, because it's foundational.
Yeah.
Who has the authority, and what does sovereignty mean for ordinary people? And where does justice come from, in the sense and feeling that my life, my attitude, my values matter, and I can express those in the world in ways that support humanity, but also reflect my sense of personal dignity without taking away from you. So what do you think? Just jump in there and flow with that, if you would, Rita.
So basically, I'll try and make this as simple as possible. Defunding would be the first step. Defunding is by, right now, the city's budget is that we invest $98 million into the police department. That funding would be able to create the steps forward to create an integrated system with the county. Right now, our systems are so siloed, let's say. We've talked about this even in county races. When Angela Conley was running, she talked about this. How our systems do not seem to work integrated together. And when we do that kind of approach, that's why we're ending up with a clash, a difference, different outcomes. Let's say we put some, like the police can go out and get people, right? Charge them, but doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be able to get justice inside that system. Because it goes into a whole nother set of laws and issues and different people, a whole entire new system. How does that, so my question to the community, how does that give you the ability to find justice, or not just find it, but right now get the services you need? Because right now we're contacting two different entities and we're relying on two different government systems. When integrating and allowing the community to help create this vision, we've never given this opportunity to the community. This system was created by our founding fathers. Why can't we allow our community to help create this vision, fill in the gaps in which housing is such a big issue? And I haven't heard anyone talk about it yet. Gentrification is occurring at a rapid rate. People are becoming homeless left and right. I know what it feels like to live in a tent. I lived in one for 4 years of my life. I lived in one in the winter, in the summer, from when I was 10 years old till I was 14. I shouldn't have went through that back then, and now my people are still going through it today. How is this system actually working and helpful? Why do we want to keep repeating the same cycles of poverty and generational trauma? It's not that we won't have cops tomorrow. We wouldn't, and an abolitionist is not that we're going to, as soon as I'm elected, there's going to be no police. It's not that way. We have to create one. We got to first have these conversations with the community, allow the community to dream. When we say focus on something that we can do now, why is it that we can't do this now? Why is it that we're putting our own barriers and being our own barrier? Focus on the things that are the problem, because you can fix them. Anybody can. But if you can bring the community together to help you, you'll end up with a holistic approach, because everybody's going to be able to see something you don't. But
listen,
I don't like defunding would end up pushing us that direction.
I want to pick up next week on this and maybe ask each of you who can come back to specifically address the question.
I know a lot of people here are talking about defunding, and a lot of them have signed up for Yes Minneapolis, right? Have you? No, not everyone signed up for Yes Minneapolis. Well, I know.
So let's talk about that in the weeks coming, because I think that's an important discussion to have. And I'm going to ask those who are in, again, complete disagreement to present their analysis as well. And I think that the more we can talk, the better off, the better educated and informed we all are.
Glad to be the first one to talk about this with you all. Wow,
Okay.
I'm honored.
We have a moment for. I just have a some quick replies. So I am so grateful to Rita for coming and sharing with us just with so much sincerity and power, her thoughts and her experiences. And I would say that, well, I said, no, I haven't signed that petition. I don't see myself as in opposition to people who are coming from the perspective that Rita is coming from. So one of the things that you mentioned, Rita, was that we really need to have these conversations across the community. And that's exactly what we have not done. So that's why I'm calling for precinct by precinct truth and reconciliation conversations first. So we can do that dream work. We can do that revisioning work, but we do it in a very transparent, inclusive way using models that have existed before. So not making something up, not recreating the wheel, but really relying on what other people have done. And another person from your community, Michael Goze, who is the executive director of the American Indian Community Development Corporation. I was really concerned. Oh, did I say his name wrong? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. When we had the budget hearings, he spoke up and said, hey, my community has been doing this work. We have a lot of partnerships and alternative forms of policing that nobody has asked us about. And so all of this defund work happened without going to your community. That is actually a really great example of how we could build in better relationships with community in this kind of violence prevention and alternatives to policing. And so what I'm saying is we need to slow down and do that work first before we think we have a plan to address it all. And so I just wanted to clarify that some of us can say, no, we're not signing on to that petition, but we identify it with a lot of what you're saying. And that I do think that there is a really strong consensus ground for all of us to move forward together.
Any other final comments? We're out of time, but this has been really rich. And Rita, thank you so much for your position and for your clarity. I think that just helps. We need to hear it. We need to hear it. And thank you for laying it out the way you have.
I want to drop Mr. McFarlane.
Go ahead.
Before we go, I read a lot of books, and I just wanted to do this for this group. I think you all should read this book. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's very transformative. You can learn a lot of lessons in this book. Please check it out.
Hold it up to the screen again.
Chop wood and carry water. And I talk a lot about making city council simple again and taking away the theatrics and all the spotlight on city council. And this is a very great story about a boy who become a samurai warrior. So he moved to a village where there was a bunch of people training to become samurais. And this book has really been influential in my life. I read it before. I'm reading it again. Please check this book out and let me know what your thoughts are. Chop wood and carry water.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Listen, this has been a great meeting. Thanks, guys. We'll be here again next week, Monday at this time. We'll see you. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Bye-bye.